Well, the polar vortex hovering over Siberia has generated the coldest temperature on Earth so far this year. And according to meteorologists, it could be headed to Canada in early February. So for more on this, we're joined now by Dave Phillips, Environment Canada's chief climatologist. Dave, thanks for joining us this afternoon here on CP24 Live at noon. Polar vortex, I remember that term from a few years ago, and it was frigid, it was uncomfortable, and it was unbearable. Is this potentially really going to be happening then?
Well, Nick, I think the big question is, where's winter?
That was my next question. Yeah.
So now we're going to spoil it by having this polar vortex. But you're right. Polar vortex usually means, of course, cold and temperatures that might be 20 degrees colder than you normally expect, brutal wind chills, and it just sometimes goes on for day after day and week after week. But normally it can occur at any time. Nick, the polar vortex is always there, even in the summertime. But it kind of stays put. It circulates around the North Pole. This one is sort of in Siberia. And so I think we've kind of poke that Russian bear, and it's going to move, and it's going to come over the poles and down across North America. And I think it seems to me it's not going to be a long bout. I think the first week of February looks like it when it really begin to affect. And we think mostly in Western Canada, but it certainly won't leave us alone. We see temperatures that will get down cooler than we've had all winter so far. I mean, we've had, I think, in total 4 days where the temperature's been minus 10 or below. And last year we had 22 of those suckers. So I think we're going to see a winter period coming up. But I don't think it's going to be as brutally cold as out west, but I think it's going to be there. We're going to feel it. But I think, Nick, the other aspect that's important is when you get that cold air, and then you get kind of warm air from the south, which you've been seeing a lot of, well, that creates weather wars. And so I think that what we may see is, yes, some cooler temperatures that may be, a bit below normal for that time of the year. But I think it will make storms more prevalent. Some of those, more snow, more freezing rain, more rain. I think that will be our really cross to bear when we get into February.
Right.
But Nick, it's short-lived. I think this middle of February looks like it's going to be a little warmer than normal. So if we can endure that first week of February, I think we'll be okay.
So clench our teeth effectively and sort of grind through. Now, I wonder, David, you work at Environment Canada, you talk to a lot of climatologists, meteorologists, et cetera. What's the buzz around the office right now about the kind of just weather we're having right now? I mean, it just hasn't felt like winter in quite a while. I know it's going to feel like it soon, but what do you all talk about when you look at what's happening right now?
Well, I think, Nick, it's a good question because, we're seeing it. We're not just having it here in southern Ontario and eastern Canada. I mean, it's been a pretty mildish winter, really from the get-go. We've had, Nick, in Toronto, we've had, I think, 8 months in a row, including January, warmer than normal. I don't think we've experienced what it feels like. Now, out west, they've seen some cooler weather, of course, in December and November. But the entire country is seeing kind of almost like a mild January from coast to coast to almost coast. And I think Canadians are saying, well, gee, January is normally the coldest month. It is certainly not this year across the country. And Nick, it's very explainable. And, for the first part of winter, we had polar air, Arctic air, Siberian air. But in the last month or 3 weeks or month, it's all been Pacific air. It's been blowing right across the province and bringing sort of mild and unseasonably mild temperatures. So everybody is kind of talking about the same thing in Canada is, hey, where's winter? But stay tuned, it's coming.
Yeah, we'll consider ourselves warned then. Okay, Dave Phillips, Environment Canada's senior climatologist. Do appreciate the time this afternoon. As always, take care.
Thanks, Nick, so much. Goodbye.
Okay.